Luvinaka. Good. Hello, Olgeta. Maluelele.
I
Ali.
can still hear the music.
Lava. Hello.
That's
Brananim. Greetings from Fiji and the
we're
Pacific.
on. Hey, there's a loop somewhere. They're saying there's a loop somewhere. No?
Hello Vinaka, welcome to the 17th Asia Media Summit.
Nisam Bulavanaka from the warm, beautiful islands of Fiji. The Prime Minister of the Republic of Fiji, Right Honorable Vorenge Bainimarama, Honorable Ministers of Information of Fiji, Cambodia, Laos, India, Thailand, and Samoa, members of the Diplomatic Corps, the AIBD GC Council President, Mr. Mayank Agrawal, AIBD Director, Ms. Philomena Nana Pragazam, sponsors, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, joining us from around the region and around the world. Bula. Now, over the next few days, you'll be hearing that fairly often. In Fiji, that's how we say hello. But when translated to English, the literal translation is life. So when you hear someone say Bula, they are wishing you life. My name is Amalia Rigsby, your MC for the next 2 days, and on behalf of AIBD and the organizing committee, I'd like to warmly welcome you to the 17th Virtual Asia Media Summit 2022, Future Forward Reimagining Media Pacific Extravaganza. In the lead to this event, it was those 4 words, Future Forward Reimagining Media, that really caught my attention. As someone who began a career in media as a 19-year-old part-time radio personality and now works in television, I sincerely believe that media is a key player in changing the world. As we begin our discussions with Future Forward Reimagining Media at the forefront of our minds, I'd like to encourage all of you to actively take part in our sessions. But please note that, just as a reminder to our attendees, that your mics have been switched off and that only our panelists will have their microphones switched on. However, should you wish to contribute to the conversation by an observation, or if you have a question, please feel free to type it into the chat. Now, as a proud Fijian, I would say that all Pacific peoples have some form of dance and music that represents their identity and history, as I'm sure you do at home. Traditionally, dance in the Pacific is about relations between the people and the land and the sea. In a generation where youths are fast losing touch with their culture and traditions, it is important that as we move forward, we take the past with us. That as we innovate and grow, we don't outgrow our traditions and cultures. It is important that now, more than ever, we pass on our traditional knowledge to the younger generation. With those few words, I'd like to introduce Vo, a contemporary dance group that is taking what our elders have taught them and are trying to keep it alive. In fact, the beginning of this dance is a traditional stick dance from a province in Fiji known as Ra.
And the sound of bata kena liba kena kuru kuru. And the sound of bata, and the sound of bata. Ita mai na udai bulia na edengo na roka na yango sua sua. And the sound of bata, and the sound of bata. Ke na mekeka buli ena ngona banganga luke na mekeka buli ena ngona ebunga. And the sound of bata. And the sound of bata, batakir nangaw na mailiw inatangin nilali. And the sound of bata, and the sound of bata, na liba kena kuru kuru kenda nangone ni ngao na ebunga. Kenda yandu asama iduri bata kenda nangone ni ngao na ebunga.
Young people from VO. Ladies and gentlemen, an event of this size with over 500 attendees from more than 47 countries always involves many people. Even more so when done virtually. From many people, you have many people in different time zones. But as long as you have a dedicated few, anything is possible. Now, I'd like to invite one of the key people who has been instrumental in conceptualizing and making the Pacific Extravaganza a reality. The director of the Asia Pacific Institute for Broadcasting Development, AIBD, Ms. Philomena Gnanapragasam, to give her opening remarks.
Thank you. Thank you, Amelia. And welcome to the 17th Asia Media Summit. Greetings, everybody. And I would like to say a big thank you to the Prime Minister of the Republic of Fiji, Honorable Voreke Bainimarama, His Excellency Honorable Minister for Communications, Republic of Fiji, Aya Said Kayum, His Excellency Honorable Minister of Information and Broadcasting, India, Anurag Singh Thakur, His Excellency Honorable Minister of Communications and Information Technology, Samoa Tolope Onisomo, His Excellency Honorable Minister of Information, Kingdom of Cambodia, Dr. Q Kanharat, His Excellency Honorable Deputy Minister of Information, Culture and Tourism, Lao PDR, Onithuang Kaupan, and His Excellency Minister attached to the Prime Minister's Office, Thailand, Mr. Anuchai Nakasai, esteemed ambassadors from across the region who have joined us, the President of the AIBD-GC, Mr. Mayank Agrawal, delegates from the global media and technology industry and academia, and Your Excellencies and esteemed delegates who have joined us from all across the world. Welcome to the 17th Asia Media Summit. The past 2 years have tested us. A small, invisible, unalive particle had brought everything in the world to a standstill. COVID-19 pandemic swept the world into uncertainty, creating chaos in its wake. The chaos that was both physical as well as mental. While COVID-19 was playing havoc with our health, misinformation and miscommunication were sowing discord. Indeed, media is at the threshold. And at this precipice, we, the media practitioners, are asked over and over again, what is the next step? Do we step down or do we jump back into the unknown? And as I talk to you virtually, this is what the media today is looking at to understand the best path forward. Therefore, Excellencies and esteemed delegates, we have formulated the Asia Media Summit 2022 to be an exploration of ideas. And after consulting with many media bodies, we have curated the AMS sessions to hold the most pertinent information on the relevant topics that are needed today. We have an incredible lineup of sessions for these 2 days. And for the first session, of course, we're going to look at the esteemed panel of honorable ministers, the top people who are actually going to look at what media should do and what media will do. And we are also looking at special programs, cultural productions, and programs that have been curated, especially by the Pacific nations. And we're really grateful to have them in the content showcase as well. And this content showcase is, of course, an inaugural thing in the AIBD in this particular Asia Media Summit. You and I know that content has become both a boon and a bane for our industry. And the media industry has seen a shortage of content this last few years. So while everyone on social media was quick to churn out, share, and repost unauthenticated information, governments, along with traditional media, had to deal with both the pandemic and the unprecedented infomedics that followed, or infodemics that followed. Sorting out the real from fake while struggling to get material for quality productions had become the norm for many media organizations. So traditional media, ladies and gentlemen, are accountable for the information that we produce. And we take this responsibility very seriously. As government media, as any media, I think you say what you mean and mean what you say. So Your Excellencies and delegates, as media practitioners, we must be united in the face of our challenge. However big or small a broadcaster, we belong to the same community. We are a tribe, and our training, ethics, and the practices are the same. I'm proud to say that I've personally witnessed many instances of cooperation within this media community. Broadcasters have come forward to help each other with content, equipment, and human resources. And we saw this during the pandemic. And I'm glad to say that the Asia Pacific Institute for Broadcasting Development has facilitated many such cooperation amongst our members. So I invite you, Your Excellencies, esteemed delegates from the Asia Pacific region and beyond, to partake in these 2-day deliberations and discussions. We hope that it will be fruitful and successful and a great time for you to mingle with the media fraternity. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what the Asia Media Summit is all about. It's the only platform that allows media practitioners, media policymakers, and those who are passionate about the change in technology to sit together and deliberate and come up with a greater outcome. Thank you and welcome to the 17th Asia Media Summit. And without much ado, our next speaker, of course, with great thanks to the President of the IBDGC, Mr. Mayank Agrawal. Thank you, Mr. Mayank. It's over to you now.
Thank you, Philomena. His Excellency, Honorable Minister for Communications, Republic of Fiji, Ayaz Said Khayoum. His Excellency, Honorable Minister of Communications and Information Technology, Samoa, Tulip Van Semo. His Excellency, Honorable Minister of Information, Kingdom of Cambodia, Dr. Q Kanaret. His Excellency, Honorable Deputy Minister of Information, Culture and Tourism, Lau PTR, Onyacheng Kaufen, and with us, the honorable ministers who will be joining through video messages. First, I'm really thankful, His Excellency, Honorable Prime Minister of Fiji, Warwick Bainimarama. Fiji is the host country. His Excellency, Honorable Minister of Information and Broadcasting, Youth Affairs and Sports, Mr. Anurag Singh Thakur. He is also coming through his video message. His Excellency, Honorable Anusha Nakasai, Minister attached to Prime Minister's Office, Kingdom of Thailand. Esteemed ambassadors, AIBD Director Ms. Philomena Nana Pragasam, AIBD family, and delegates from the global media and technology industry and academia who have joined us on virtual mode. Namaste, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. A hearty welcome to all our valued speakers and participants of the 17th Asia Media Summit, organized by the Asia Pacific Institute for Broadcasting Development and hosted by the Republic of Fiji. First and foremost, I would like to thank the Republic of Fiji for hosting the summit. Even though it is virtual, it will be no less impactful and important an event for the development of media. Indeed, with the current pandemic situation, which is thankfully now subsiding, I believe that virtual and hybrid methods are the future of such conferences, and they have brought another mode to connect us together across the globe. However, I and everyone hopes that we will be able to visit the beautiful and sunny Pacific Island nation soon. It is my pleasure to deliver this welcome remark. I am exceedingly obliged to be in such an extraordinary company of honorable ministers, top management from various organizations, my peers from across the globe, and the distinguished members and participants from over 40 countries who have joined us for the event. Your Excellencies and esteemed delegates, in the past, newspaper, radio, and television have informed the public opinion with mainly one-way communication. The agenda was set by the media. However, advances in technology have placed the power of public discourse firmly in the hands of the public. Now, everyone who holds a smart mobile set is actually a creator of media. As the Canadian philosopher of communication, Marshall McLuhan said, and I quote here, "We shape our tools and afterwards our tools shape us." So this is the mobile smart technology which is now shaping our future. It is indeed an interesting loop. The technology that allows the audience to create and curate their own content is driven by the demands of the audience. And we, the media, must seek opportunities to tell our industry's story and reach all stakeholders. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, today I am inspired by the media organization represented here because we believe in the mandate of this institute and the purpose of this Asia Media Summit to bring us all together and give us a platform to engage with each other, discuss relevant issues, and seek opportunities and solutions. Throughout the two-day summit, we will bring to you an array of success stories from across the globe. We are privileged to offer you a massive lineup that encompasses a holistic approach to everything that is in media, from media policies, content creation, delivery, audience feedback, to trends in the technology. We have a much anticipated premier first session with ministers from 5 countries deliberating on the key changes to traditional media and policy matters and strategies to strengthen media development. Session 2 is on content consumption, what audience want, and what data is telling us, with focus on the behavioral changes and explore the methodologies for audience retention. Session 3 is absolutely on the evolution of the media and Web 3.0, a shifting landscape in the digital age. The second day of the Asia Media Summit underlines the importance of storytelling through Session 4, broadcasting human stories in line with Agenda 2030. And then we move to Session 5, which will explore insights into narrowing the technological gap in the Asia Pacific broadcasting industry. Session 6 will focus on the strategies for diversifying revenue streams. And the last session of the summit will be our signature event, CEO's Roundtable, a discussion on the main topic of the summit, reimagining media, which will feature 5 CEOs from AIBD member organizations. In addition to the two-day event, we are pleased to announce that AIBD and partners have been conducting 5 pre-summit activities these past 2 days that tackle a myriad of topics. AIBD has worked extensively on health communication activities for the past 2 years, and to continue in this vein, we have partnered with Yusuf Banka Foundation to train 15 journalists from 8 countries. AIBD has partnered with WHO and ILO for webinar on Global Road Safety Plan and female migrant journalism, respectively. And not neglecting the technical side of the media, AIBD and ITU have conducted a pre-summit webinar on cybersecurity for journalists, and industry experts have been sharing their experience in the pre-summit knowledge sharing session on terrestrial infrastructure in the age of 5G. And so it is my pleasure to let you know that AIBD has trained 290 media practitioners in the just past 2 days. It's a record, and I expect a hand of applause from all of you. And I really admire Ms. Philomena, the director of the Institute, and her team. For even during this difficult pandemic time, they have worked tirelessly throughout, and they have conducted so many training programs. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, I just also want to again underline, which we have been underlining in every session, to bring to you one of the most important threats to media, that is fake news. I think the speakers will be talking further on this issue, which is taking over good space in the market, particularly on the social media platforms. With the emerging trends and growing modifications in the media functioning, the outreach of fake news, misinformation, and morphed infographics is a real warning for us to be extra cautious while delivering the content. And AIBD is playing as a leader, because through so many training programs, we are asking journalists that they should be very, very careful about fake news. So before I wrap up my remarks, I would like to take this opportunity to thank again our members for participating in the content sharing event. I hope that all here will avail the opportunity to scope out the available programs. And our heartfelt thanks to our generous sponsors. Again, sponsors are, very important. I will just read out the names. Walesi Fiji, Government Republic of Fiji, WHO, Pacific Broadband Satellite Limited, Basil India, Prasar Bharati India, Benchmark Broadcast System, Rod and Schwartz, Ideal Systems, BSc Education Group, and Tourism Fiji. Thanks to our sponsors. And last but not the least, I thank you, honored guests and delegates, for joining us on this 2-day journey of exploration. I hope you have an enlightening and fruitful discussions. Welcome everyone to Asia Media Summit 2022. Thank you, Ms. Philomena, over to you.
Thank you very much, sir. And thank you for the work that you and the AIBD team continue to do to innovate and inspire media growth in the Asia-Pacific region. As the virtual host of the Asia Media Summit, Fiji is both humbled and honored to have so many people from around the world present today, from Papua New Guinea, New Zealand, Iran, Bangladesh, Rare Television Malaysia, just to name a few. To welcome you all to the 17th Virtual Asia Media Summit, it is my pleasure to invite the Prime Minister of the Republic of Fiji, the Honorable Voreqe Bainimarama, to give his keynote address.
Nana Pagazam. the Director, Asia Pacific Institute for Broadcasting Development. Mr. Mayank Agrawal, AIBD President of the General Conference. Government representatives, media professionals, ladies and gentlemen. Bulavinaka from Fiji. It is a great pleasure to be able to speak with you today at the opening of the 17th Asia Media Summit. Before I begin, I want to take a moment to remember the journalists who have been killed in the line of duty this year, from Ukraine to Palestine. Just this month, Al Jazeera's Shirin Abu Akleh was gunned down while simply doing her job, reporting from a refugee camp. We must never let these atrocities go unmentioned. No journalist should be a target, ever, whether within or outside a war zone. Ladies and gentlemen, Fiji has been a member of the AIBD since 1978 and is, of course, the current vice chair of the AIBD Executive Board. The world today is almost unrecognizable from that of 1978, not least in the world of media. The Reuters Institute latest reports provide some useful context for us. Through the COVID-19 crisis, lockdowns and other restrictions accelerated the shift to a mostly digital future. Among historic unemployment figures across economies, many jobs in the media industry were either lost or changed profoundly. Advertisers pulled out en masse through the global economic downturn. And in some countries, it was noticed that young people, especially young women, and minorities were being represented less fairly through media, prompting a global call for more inclusive and diverse newsrooms. And yet this crisis has also shown the value of accurate and reliable information at a time when lives are at stake. The global spread of misinformation and conspiracy theories about the coronavirus has further focused minds on where people are getting their news. The data tells us that 4.62 billion people now use social media. This is just under 60% of the planet's population. It's almost hard to wrap one's head around that figure. I read once that more people in the world have access to mobile connectivity now than they do safe toilets, which tells you everything you need to know about the pace of this digital migration. I think it's a powerful fact to illustrate just how much value the human species places on communicating and on wanting to know what is happening around them. The number of people who remain unconnected to the internet has now dropped below 3 billion for the first time ever. This marks a significant milestone in the world's journey towards equal digital access. Connected devices are now more of a lifeline than a luxury, especially since the arrival of the COVID-19 pandemic. In Fiji, we've sought to close the digital divide across our over 100 populated islands by ensuring that all Fijians have access to digital TV. Hence, in 2016, Walesi was born, Fiji's first digital free-to-air television service that serves our most rural and maritime areas by satellite. I'm proud to reveal that Fiji now has 100% digital TV coverage, with government covering the installation costs for all low-income households so that no one is left behind. There have also been over 700,000 downloads of the Walesi OTT app to date, and one of our 8 national channels is completely dedicated to educational and public service broadcasting in order to give all Fijians, especially youth, the same access to learning opportunities as those living in urban areas. Now, unlike traditional media, which has always relied on a clear-cut publisher-audience model, every person online is now both creator and consumer. The barriers to information sharing have never been so low for most of the world's population as they are today, for better and for worse. Nowhere is this more evident than in the rise of the digital influencer. Mainstream news brands and journalists are completely eclipsed by influencers and alternative sources on platforms such as TikTok, Snapchat, and Instagram. The explosion of access to news, media content, and content creation has led to significantly positive developments for humankind, like a widening of the debate in politics, in economics, and social sciences. This has resulted in calls for greater freedom and better standards of living, which has manifested in the way people across the world use media to voice their concerns. At the same time, though, we're living through a tumultuous moment in history. All of us have been horrified by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Climate scientists have warned that it's now a 50-50 chance that the world will warm by more than 1.5 degrees Celsius over the next 5 years. The world is still battling the impacts of a once-in-a-century pandemic that claimed millions of lives and decimated entire economies. We've seen a dangerous rise in nationalist propaganda, where chaos mongers manipulate racial, ethnic, religious, and national sentiments to fan the flames of fear and foster an us versus them mentality. And unfortunately, we have all learned by now that peddling controversy, conspiracies, outrage, even hate often gives you an edge online. The inherent nature of social media platforms and engagement optimized websites can even make it difficult to spot the difference between factual information being published by a Ministry of Health, for example, and a supposed miracle cure being promoted by a con artist. Factual information, selfies, cat videos, and games fill our content feeds, intermingled with lies, conspiracy theories, and junk science. And with the sheer proliferation of content and the splintering of information and audiences, we lose our ability to differentiate between fact, opinion, and mass fiction. The danger here is that when we no longer know what to believe, people can end up dead. When we no longer know what to believe, entire democracies can be weakened. When we don't know what to believe, wars can break out. It's been well documented that hate speech shared on Facebook and other social media platforms has played a role in modern-day murder campaigns, ethnic violence, and extremism. Whether it's against women, ethnic minorities, the LGBTQ communities, journalists, political opponents, the digital world has become the frontier of a war on peace. Now, many of you here have the power to help turn some things around and begin moving things in the right direction. You can advocate for change. You can be part of a system redesign. As governments and as private citizens, we need your expertise to reframe our collective thinking about digital media. We need to reimagine new media models where traditional media companies, big tech companies, and governments are committed to some important accountability frameworks. We need journalists, not-for-profit communicators, and civil society to help us tell better stories about ourselves and how we can live together despite our differences. This includes creative human-centered content with a distinct Asia-Pacific flavor that our people can relate to. We need media practitioners to bring the 2030 agenda to life for their audiences, to inspire government-level policy changes in regard to the climate crisis and related socio-economic issues. We need strong civic education around identifying and curbing misinformation wherever possible, including education around the more sinister and covert side of artificial intelligence technology involving deepfake videos, for example. I understand these are big issues, but I do have a lot of faith in you. I want to humbly challenge all of you over the next 2 days to focus on pushing each other to rethink your roles within the world of media. challenge some of your preconceived notions about your jobs, reframe your purpose in a hyper-digitalized world. Thank you once again for having me, and I wish you all a very successful summit. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Fiji, the Honorable Vorenge Bainimarama. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we saw a young, vibrant group perform earlier. Now, I'd like to introduce a traditional performance from a village on the main island of Fiji. Known as Nawaka, the elders of this village came together to perform for you in front of a traditional border that sits in a place of pride in their village. Ladies and gentlemen, the Nawaka Entertainment Group.
Oye, Nabulama, oye, Nabulama, oye, Nabulama, Oye, Nabulama, oye, Nabulama, oye, Nabulama,
Ladies and gentlemen, the Nawaka Entertainment Group. Now, when people think of Fiji, they think of white sandy beaches and crystal clear blue water. And they're not wrong. But we are so much more. We are beautiful hills and rainforests. We are temples and mosques. We are many cultures and traditions living as one. So please, join me on a virtual excursion of beautiful Fiji, courtesy of Tourism Fiji.
Hello, Ali, and hello,
My name is Gustav N. I. Taro. I'm the Minister of State of the Ministry of State of the Republic of Palau. Well, the future of the media in the Pacific, particularly Palau, will look like it's an exciting moment for media. Accessibility, the increase of our bandwidths and our new cable that's coming on board. It's an exciting time for the media, particularly for Palau. You'll have either ready access for the community in Palau, as well as partnerships and connectivity outside of Palau with other media partners. So that's how I see media, particularly for Palau in the Pacific. So the challenge for Palau, I look at it, is where can we have the media in the context of Palau, is where we can get a modem to, or a system where we can have a filtering system of information and news. And that requires the collaboration between the media service in the government and also the established institutions in the Republic of Palau. We have local news outlets here that have been here for years and have gained the trust of their own constituents and customers. So collaboration between the private and the public sector will be a challenge in itself. But the more challenging part is the accountability of where do you get your news from, who's accountable for it. On behalf of the Ministry of State, the Republic of Palau, I would like to wish AIBD all the best in the 17th Asia Media Summit, and further invite all of you to come to Palau to hold your summit next time. Thank you.
안녕하십니까. KBS 사장 김의철입니다. 바양크 아그라왈 AIBD 회장님, 필로미나 AIBD 사무총장님, 그리고 귀빈 여러분, 제17회 아시아 미디어 서밋의 개막을 진심으로 축하드립니다. 이번 회의는 코로나 팬데믹으로 2년 만에 개최돼 그 의미가 더욱 각별한 것 같습니다. 아시아 태평양 지역 미디어 전문가, 정책 결정자들이 모여 현안을 검토하고 미래 전략을 구상하는 아시아 미디어 서밋의 이번 주제는 미래를 창조하는 미디어입니다. 디지털 기술의 진화와 함께 시청자의 소비 행태, 나아가 미디어 산업의 지형이 급격히 변화하는 가운데 다가올 미래의 미디어에 대한 논의는 우리 모두의 과제입니다. 이번 회의를 통해 혁신적이며 창의적인 전략에 대한 활발한 토론이 있기를 기대합니다. KBS는 한국을 대표하는 공영 미디어입니다. 선정적인 콘텐츠, 허위 정보가 넘쳐나는 시대에도 공영성, 신뢰성, 독립성이라는 세 가지 원칙을 기반으로 신뢰받는 미디어, 압도적인 콘텐츠를 제작하는 회사로 자리매김하고 있습니다. 한국의 공영 미디어 KBS는 제17회 아시아 미디어 서밋의 성공 개최를 기원하며 개막을 다시 한번 진심으로 축하드립니다.